We've been live for like a few seconds. Hi, this is the Abingdon Company. I can't even say the name of my company because it's Tuesday morning and I only had decaf this morning. But you are at the Abingdon Company channel on YouTube, and I'm super excited to be here with you. It's been, this is like kind of one of the first lives that we are doing differently, where I'm taking questions and frequently asked questions from people on social media, people asking questions, all sorts of things. And so if you have not been to this channel before, then you're definitely going to want to check this out. We do videos on watches, adventures, women empowerment, all sorts of really fun stuff. And it's going to be actually really cool today because I'm going to be going over a question that is not something that I really think about because I'm always just playing around and messing around with the bands and the watches and everything. But it's something that a lot of crew members do ask about. So, and we just got back from the 99s conference here in Las Vegas, and it was actually one of the questions that we got asked at the conference as well. So pretty excited about that. So let me get to this question and jump into it. And by the way, if you have any questions, then definitely send, because since this is a live, you can type your question in, and then I will get to it in the video. And MK, who is my awesome like manager, assistant, and YouTube person guru, is going to take the phone off of hibernation or whatever, because it's a black screen right now. So you're gonna make that happen while I read this question. So this is coming in from Instagram, and it says, "Hi Abingdon, I recently got an Elise in Tahitian two-tone. I'm loving it already. Adjusting it was easy thanks to your YouTube tutorials. It looks great with my uniform at work. I've been trying to figure out which other bands would go well with it and what would be appropriate for different occasions. I'm slightly style challenged. I thought it might be interesting if you created a YouTube video on how to select different types of bands for different occasions. For example, is it okay to wear an Abingdon watch at a formal occasion? Which bands would be best with a black cocktail dress? Is it appropriate to wear a white leather band in the winter, or is that just a rule for the summer? Obviously, women should make their own personal style choices, but tactfully suggesting winning combinations might help some of us out. Thanks in advance, Captain Theresa." Well, Captain Theresa, you hit the nail on the head with that last line, which is that we all have our own personal style and we can really do whatever we want. So anything that I go over today, by all means, if you want to break every like color wheel rule and fashion rule that's out there, go ahead and break it and feel good about it, because this is your watch, this is your life, your wrist, your outfit, you do you, girl. So I am perfectly okay with that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share with you some of the things that I've incorporated in my style, and what I've kind of done just based on whether I'm flying in uniform, at work, casual, if I'm scuba diving, if I'm on, you know, a travel, like backpacking around or something like that. If I'm at a formal occasion, if I'm at a wedding, just all the different situations that I found, because as you may have seen in a previous video, you know, if you know this, what I've changed now with my traveling is I will just take a watch case and then I'll take a variety of bands, and that is how I travel now. So it just helps me give a different look for whatever I'm going to be doing on my travels without me having to pack a bunch of watches, which ended up becoming an issue on one of my travels. So let's jump in. Basically, you kind of want to do three things. So we're going to talk about it in three. So the first one is your environment, the second one is your outfit, and then the third is the watch. So let's kind of jump down, and you know, I don't know, actually, I don't know if you need to jump down. We might even just be able to do it this way, and I'll just kind of pick up different bands and everything. But I've got almost every band here that we offer on the site. There's a few bands that I don't have. And then what I've done is I've taken each of our Elise styles. Now we do offer, let's see, there's 5 here. We offer 7 different style color choices for the Elise. So I've got 5 here that we're gonna kind of play around with. But the first thing is your environment. Are you at work? If you're at work, if you are, like, let's say in the airline industry, Captain Theresa is an airline pilot. And so if you fly, I know United has rules about this. You can only wear a watch that is metal or dark band, meaning black. And I don't even think they allow brown to go with the uniform. So depending on, most pilot uniforms are either black or brown. And if you're a flight attendant, oftentimes they require a watch, both for the second hand if you have to administer CPR, or just for noting the time for departure, arrival, and what you need as part of a crew. But with many of the airlines, they do have requirements as to whether or not you can have a metal band or a leather band. I am going to give you the safety answer and just say stay with the metal. The metal is going to go with every airline. Now, if you have a two-tone like this band here, gold and silver, that's typically okay. Most airlines, just check your SOPs, or is it the standard operating procedures? Or do they call them something else? I think it kind of depends on the airline. But they'll either say gold or silver, or they'll say both or either. So definitely go with the metal if you are in that type of work environment. Now, if you are a, what do they call those? Like a desk hog, or like a computer where you're sitting at the computer the whole time. I'm looking at MK, she's laughing at me. There's like a jovial term that
like a desk jockey?
Desk jockey, desk jockey, not desk hog. Sorry about that. I guess I call myself a desk hog. I don't know, whatever it is. I hog my desk, right? But if you're a desk jockey, she's like cracking up back there. Then what I would actually recommend is more of a leather style, a leather or a silicone. And the reason I would recommend that is because if you are resting at your computer, notice I'm wearing a metal strap here, I'm wearing a leather strap here. I'm going to hear this a lot more on this side, and you're just going to end up doing unnecessary scratches. It's just not going to be nice. So if you do love a metal strap, which I often really prefer a metal strap in the summertime, and the reason I do is because we're in Las Vegas. It's super hot here, and sweating just destroys a leather band. So what I'll do is I'll just place my watch kind of off to the side and do my thing, do my desk jockeying. I'm so glad I learned a new word today. So, but if you are working inside an office where you're at a computer or you're at some type of device and you like to have something on your wrist, go with something that's soft, like a silicone or like a leather strap. And the nice thing too, which we'll get to this in a little bit, is coordinating with your outfit. The leather straps that you have available, you got 1,000 different types of stitching, of coloring, of material. I mean, leathers, you've got a whole bunch to work with. So that's inside the office. Outside the office, talked about the uniform. If you are blessed to work outdoors in like the scuba world, or at the racetrack or equestrian centers or racetracks or anything like that, I said racetracks twice, but you know what I mean. If you have a fun job, then you want to dress for your environment. So obviously, if you are going to be scuba diving, then you definitely want to have a silicone strap. The nice thing, and I've kind of shown this in other videos, is that all of the straps on the Abingdon Co website are built for each of our models. So you do have the ability to just change any strap that you want. So if I am going to go diving, which I did some diving this summer at Lake Mead, I recommend trying it. I didn't hate it as much as I thought. I thought the water would be super cold, and it wasn't as cold as I thought it would be. But having a silicone strap is really nice, and we make all of our silicone straps a little bit longer so that you can put them around a wetsuit as well. So that's something that's really neat. Another thing to note about silicone straps, because I'm going to show you this compared with our black silicone strap. see the difference in length there? The black strap is a little bit longer. So we did extend all of the silicone straps to be a bit longer. Feel free to cut them. Cut them to your size. It's silicone. It's totally fine. These are wear and tear items. You by all means can cut them and cut them to the length that you need so that you don't have this like super long extension of your silicone strap just like sticking out in the wind. So they are meant to be cut. That's why we made them extra long. So if you wear a dry suit, you can fit them over a dry suit. If you wear a wetsuit, you can fit them over a wetsuit. And if you just want to wear them right on your wrist because you're a warm weather diver like me and you prefer to go out to the Caribbean and do all that fun stuff, then cut it as short as you need and then just make it only come out a little bit. So whatever you guys want, but this is perfectly fine to do that. I would not recommend doing that on leather straps. You have padding on the inside of a leather strap, and I will show you on one of our oil tan leathers. You can kind of see it a little bit more closely on here. You see how it kind of curves up? There's padding on the inside, so it's a layer of leather, padding in the center. So you don't want to be chopping these up, but you can definitely chop up the silicones. So if you're a diver, go for that. Now, also, a lot of pilots, more in general aviation, wear a silicone strap because they are over their wing, fueling the wing, and they don't want the metal to scratch the paint or anything. Same thing in the car industry. If you're around your car and you don't want to scratch that paint job, then a silicone strap might actually be a better way to go. Of course, if you're in the gym and you're a big workout, what do we call them? Gym rats and dust hogs. Then if you are at the gym, you're probably going to want a silicone strap. It's just way easier to clean sweat and dirt and everything else that you would get. Silicone is super, super simple to clean. So you've got that. Let's see. I think we touched on pretty much everything in environment. Casual, that was the work environment. So in the casual setting, basically, let me wrap up environment with saying use a strap that fits the environment that you're in. If you work in a formal setting, I would say go with metal. If you work in an outdoor setting, I would say stick with silicone. And if you are indoors or you just kind of are in more of a fashiony, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of like dress up and do whatever you want. I would go with all a variety of leathers. That would kind of be my work rules. Now for casual, if you're going out on a date, going out with friends, a lot more options if you want to stick with more of a formal look, and this is what I would recommend for like a wedding or just getting dressed up. I would recommend a metal strap. You're never going to go wrong with a metal strap if you want to dress slightly more formal. Metal straps are virtually indestructible. I mean, this metal strap has been on my Elise and Tahitian two-tone since 2014, and it still looks fantastic. You're always going to see the fine-tuned scratches. That's just always going to happen. But overall, you have a much nicer, polished look with a metal strap. So they also call them bracelets, but yes, I would go with this for a more formal outing. But if you are just gonna go out and have fun, grab drinks with your friends, it's a Friday night, you got First Friday in downtown, however you wanna do that, then by all means, like play around. Put a colored strap on it, match it to your outfit, and we'll go over that in just a second. So how do you match it to your outfit? The best rule of thumb, which if you are, and Captain Theresa, I highly doubt, how did you put it in your words, that you're slightly style challenged? I don't believe you, only based on what I've heard and what I've seen of you, which has all been on social media. So I've never actually personally met you, but you seem like you have a lot of really good style. The way I would, like your rule of thumb, would be really stick with matching your belt or your accessories. So your belt, your shoes, or your purse. So if you're wearing flip-flops or sandals and you don't have color on your shoes, then have the strap match your belt. If you're not wearing a belt, have the strap match your purse. If you have those things as kind of like a rule of thumb, then it just ties the whole outfit together. So for example, myself, I'm wearing a silver necklace. I've got a silver watch on, in fact, 2 silver watches on, but I also, you can't see my lower half, but I've got pink on. So I'm wearing the pink with this strap. So it just kind of matches it all together. That's really an easy way. If you got brown shoes on, definitely go with a brown strap. If you've got black shoes on, go with a black strap. It just makes things super simple, and I do want to remind you, if you want to break that rule, by all means break that rule. That little black dress that you're going to wear out on a Friday night, you can literally wear any color with a black dress. But if you want to default to, it's going to not clash, just put a black strap on. That's the easiest. If you want to formalize that little black dress, go with the metal strap, because that's always going to make it more formal. So you definitely have, you've kind of got a lot of options, but at the same time, you can totally rein in the rules and just make it work for you. So, and then as you get more experience with trying different colors and trying different styles, then by all means, switch it up and see if you like it and see if you get compliments on it. And if people are hating on it, well, then they can hate on it and you just keep on doing it. But if they're giving you compliments and they're liking it, then maybe you try something new. So totally up to you. Let's see, we went over environment, we went over outfit, and to wrap up outfit, match your shoes, match your belt, match your purse, if you can, and if you want to stay formal, go with metal. Then last but not least is the watch. Now, most of the watches that I have here, the versions of Elise, I can pretty much set them up to each of the straps that are down here, and it pretty much matches. There's a very, very conscious choice that we try to do when we make our bands. We want them to match all of the watches. But there is one particular watch, which is actually one of my favorite watches, and this is Elisa Midnight, and it has this really striking dark blue pearl face. I would not suggest, and this is our third part, is matching the watch or considering your watch, putting a green band to it. I mean, if you like this, go for it. But there's some of our pastel bands that we have, the greens, the pinks, the blues. I don't know, they're just, it's not what I would necessarily wear, but I mean, if this floats your boat, then by all means, let it float away. So, but what I typically prefer on this band, when we started to come out with the oil tan leathers, I absolutely love this contrast brown strap. And it's one of my favorite combinations is this guy right here. Another one that's very popular is the black. So that black really makes that blue pop as well. So this midnight, I've kind of become very selective with the choices in bands, the oil tan leathers being my preferred. White, I do like, but not as much as I like the oil tan leathers. But the pastels, I'm just not crazy about. So there are a couple watches that I would just take a look at, and I mean, what you can do is you can always just match them up like right next to the band and see if it works. That's why we have our website with all of our stuff on it. Also on our Instagram, we've got pictures of every type of watch with every type of band. So if you wanted to see something, you can even just DM us or email us and say, hey, I really want to see, and we had somebody do this, like, can you put this band on that watch and send me a picture of it? I think this combo will look good, but I'm not sure. And we did it, and we sent it to them, and it was cool. So, but when you have a watch like the Elise and Tahitian two-tone, which is what Captain Theresa has, this is a great watch that universally pretty much goes with everything. So, and especially if you're wearing gold or jewelry or gold or silver jewelry, that's why people get two-tone, is they can wear it with both. So this is an excellent, excellent choice that you made. And honestly, I found that it really does go nicely with not only the pastels, but it also goes nicely with the oil tan leathers. And it just kind of gives you, like, the pastels will really give you more of a feminine look. The oil tan leathers will give you much more of an outdoorsy look. And it's just got this like rich, I don't know, the oil tan leathers are some of my favorites because it's just this very rich looking, deep leather. So that's what I would recommend for that, is just take a look first at your environment, get the right band for your environment. Second, what is your outfit? What are you wearing? Does it go with the uniform or what you need for work? And third is look at the watch itself and see what works best for that watch. So, and definitely, if you have, like right now, we just started coming out with more silicone straps because we've got this new tactical watch out. We have a variety of different leather straps in different patterns. And then of course we have all the metals. So if you have an idea for a new strap that you would like us to come out with, then please put it in the comments below. Send us an email, send us a DM on social, let me know, make a YouTube video about how we're like completely missing the mark on all these straps and we need to come out with these new things and NATO straps or whatever. And we'll probably do it because we do listen to everybody. I don't know if, there's one thing that, I'm just gonna tell you a quick story here. On a comment on a YouTube video, I don't even think it was one of our videos. I want to say it might have been like maybe Michael Blakey's video or Adam Swords or somebody else that's done a video with our watches in it. Somebody made a comment that said, why is it that when you put a watch, you have GMT on it, that it says 24 up at the top? Why doesn't it say 00? Because when you talk in military time, you don't say 2400 hours, you say 0 hours. And I was like, what have I been doing? I'm not a true watchmaker. So I commented on his comment and said, you just changed every single watch I'm gonna make from this point forward that has GMT on it. So this Elise will now have 00 up at the GMT instead of 24. So we listen, and we probably will change our styles based on what you tell us to do. That's how we've made all of our watches. So it's super fun, and you guys are a heck of a lot smarter than what's just between my head. So I love listening to it. I love getting all the comments and everything. Just, you know, be nice. Let's all be kinder, right? So you can always say it in a nice way. But that's all I got for today. I hope this was helpful. I love playing around with bands and watches. It's kind of what we were doing all this last week. So if you do want us to send you images or put something up on social of what you want to see, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It's down there. And hit the bell to get notified for all of our new videos that we're going to come out with. We always come out with something every week. It's been an absolute joy being with you today, and we'll see you on the next YouTube Live. Bye!